What are some of the assumptions that they have? And you all should, before one of you starts, you all should start thinking about this, right? What are some of the assumptions?
Going on to immigration, I think that someone with that considers himself more conservative will be strongly against illegal immigration. Not to say like immigration as a whole, but definitely illegal immigration. That'll be one of their key points.
Are these conservative takes? Like, that's a real question. Like, are they actually like conservative perspectives? But if that's the case, like, I was listening to what they were saying, because honestly, if somebody asked me that question, I don't think I can tell you off the top of the head, because honestly, in today's world, I don't know what would be considered a conservative take or a liberal take.
I want you to think about sociological issues, debates and issues related, say, to this class. So race, gender, class, culture, national origin, sex. So we're going to talk about...
I learned a new word, sociological. Thank you, professor. I did not know what that meant. I did it.
Sociological issues related to this class, a wide range of issues. We're going to imagine that a more conservative person is teaching this class and that they have an agenda. And their agenda is to come in here and get people in this class to think a certain way, like they think about all these issues. And so they're going to walk into this room with certain assumptions. These are the kinds of things that they read and that they watch solely. So the question is, what are some of the assumptions that they have? And this is the first page. You're going to start here. Just what are some of the assumptions? Just help us think together as a class. And you all should, before one of you starts, you all should start thinking about this, right? What are some of the assumptions?
Let me think. Conservative assumptions. Donald Trump, conservative. I don't know. I really don't know. What are some conservative assumptions?
Going on to immigration, I think that someone with that considers himself more conservative will be strongly against illegal immigration. Not to say like immigration as a whole, but definitely illegal immigration. That'll be one of their key points.
So another conservative perspective would be small government, looking at the economic side, lower taxes, less regulation, more of a free market economy.
So what would that mean for these issues? You're right. You're absolutely right. So what would it mean for these issues in this class?
So I would talk about how no matter what socioeconomic status you come from, it provides the fastest platform from you to get to A to B from poor to prosperous, because you get to keep your revenue, you get to keep your income, you get to keep reinvesting in yourself, in your company, whatever your idea is. And that's kind of the conservative way to tackle that problem versus the government just dealing with it.
Maybe like when it comes to class, that could be like less social programs such as like food stamps and welfare, and that could affect different people very differently. So those are larger government programs that will increase taxes but give out to lower class.
Are these conservative takes? Like, that's a real question. Like, are they actually like conservative perspectives? Somebody let me know in the comments, please.
We should have them. We should not have them.
Well, from a right kind of viewpoint, that is typically unpopular.
So it's going to be unpopular. So for this person, if you're going to have a small government, that means you can't have lots of government handouts to anybody, right? So this is really essential. And so we're going to start cutting all these kinds of government programs.
I think from a conservative perspective with, small government race issues, so race issues being socioeconomic status, being discrimination, like, since it's more of a free market approach, small government, like a conservative approach to solve that would be, like I said earlier, lower taxes, letting you keep more of your income to reinvesting in yourself. And it would be a more, personally dealt with problem versus the government trying to fix it for you. And that would be the conservative approach. It'd just be, you putting in effort and you finding something that works, and then you keep what you make.
Okay, awesome. So here it is.
It doesn't sound too bad,
y'all are
actually.
doing great. So here, you're going to have a small government and you have problems with race or gender or something like that, then you solve it on your own. Like, don't come to the government and make a big government. And then what I hear you saying is, start passing laws and all sorts of things, and like the government's going to come in and fix it all, because you don't want that. It's not in anyone's interest. Okay.
Just kind of like to elaborate on that last point, it's kind of, they see it as hindering on their freedoms because more rules and more laws mean like less freedoms, and that kind of goes
Okay.
against their American ideals.
I feel, yeah, human beings all came from Africa. So they're, in their genetic things, they're not so
What?
many difference. Just because of geography or something, we may have.
Oh, I thought my bad, y'all. I thought she was going in a completely different direction. So the question was, what is a conservative belief? And she said all human beings come from Africa. But now I see she's basically alluding to all of us being the same. I didn't know where she was going with that. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe.
The difference in our
I got you.
appearance.
Okay, so a conservative perspective is going to say, listen, we're really not different. We're the same. Stop making us stop talking about all of our differences and start talking about our similarities. Because in the end, that's a great deal of what.
But if that's the case, like I was listening to what they were saying, because honestly, if somebody asked me that question, I don't think I can tell you off the top of the head, because honestly, in today's world, I don't know what would be considered a conservative take or a liberal take. But what they're saying was, I guess, lower taxes, we're all equal, like in terms of what you look like, where you're from. You should be able to solve your own problems on a personal level. What else? Small government, something along those lines. I don't really remember, but nothing they said brought me any red flags. So I guess that's a good thing. Nothing they said brought me any red flags.
It is.
Issues such as like race and gender aren't always the main concern. The main concern, like even the way they were describing them, come from a more economic perspective, like even the way they were, using like small government, those type of things to describe it.
So that's the main concern.
So they're saying I think that would be a more conservative thing to say that is the main concern, and then to flip it, the liberal side would be more
Okay.
that they are really big issues.
What do you get?
Yes. So from a conservative perspective, I would expect to learn that you work for what you want. So basically, we're all given the opportunity to work. We're all given the opportunity to go out there. Is how you use it. So it's not our problem because you get to go to college. You get to do these things. So it's up to you.
But it's nothing wrong with, like, y'all, I'm sorry, I'm really trying to find, like that thing to like pick out of the video, so it'd be like, yeah, that's bad. But everything they're saying, I genuinely don't think it's anything wrong with. Like, nothing they said was really wrong. Like I mean, on a moral perspective, it wasn't wrong.
So make of your life what
Yeah,
you
it's
can.
up to you to make up your life.
I mean, relating it to an education perspective, it'd be very anti-affirmative action as a conservative viewpoint, because it allows people based on different racial and ethnic backgrounds to get into colleges easier because of past discrimination.
So it allows it carries people through hoops
Yeah, it carries people through.
that they not on their own volition.
Just that everyone starts out at the same level, essentially. Like, regardless of race or gender.
When he was talking about because of past discrimination, I think that's a widely believed, like a wide belief of people when they talk about affirmative action, because it helps people who were discriminated against in the past. But in that case, and I have a question. This is a genuine question for anyone who can answer it. Wouldn't white people, be the most what's the word I'm looking for? The most hurt by affirmative action, if that's the case. Like, they would be the group of people who would be have the most pain from it. Like, they should be punished the most, like, historically speaking. But it's not them. It's Asian people in America who get the biggest hit from affirmative action. So my question is, if it stems from like past discriminations and it like tries to give the groups who had the most discrimination in the past the biggest freedoms, then why are Asian people in America hurt the most from affirmative action and not white people? Can anyone answer me that question? I really, maybe I'm wrong, but wouldn't it be like white people should be hurt the most? But it's not. So that tells me that it really doesn't have it's not really about past discriminations. It's really about, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing today, like meeting a quota kind of, because Asian people have to score the highest SAT scores because of affirmative action, not white people. Then I think it's white people, then it's Hispanic people, then it's black people. So maybe I just don't understand affirmative action, but
Yeah, like something else I want to like say on that point was, if like I'm speaking as conservative, that if we treat people like they're starting at a different line, then they'll end up at a different line because of the government's like piggybacking and assisting. But if we just kind of treat everyone equally, the belief will be that everything will become equal.
Okay, so you're saying the idea, a core idea would be, listen, just treat people equally. That's an important thing, and then let the chips fall where they fall. What's each side missing? We're going to start with the conservative side. What are they missing?
Yeah, so someone said that conservatives believe that we all start off like on the same level playing field, and I disagree with that. I don't think that's the conservative viewpoint. Conservatives believe that the world is inherently unequal, but we can't change that. What we can do is give everyone equal opportunity. So instead of worrying about who has more privilege in regards to gender, race, social status, economic status, whatever it may be, we should work on facing the issues and giving equal opportunity.
I was just gonna say that conservatives like believe that traditional values should be like held for like what was like traditional in the past should also be like what you do now, but you also have to recognize that times are changing, so not everything that was like traditional back then can be used now because like stuff is different now than it was back then.
I don't think a conservative necessarily would be teaching a class like this.
Would
be teaching a class like this.
They wouldn't even be teaching this class.
Yeah.
But if
what I'm saying is, for them, race basically isn't even in their vocabulary.
Okay, got you. All right.
And
is that true?
It's not like the African dream or Latin American dream. It's the American dream. So it's for everyone.
Okay, so what are they missing then? So they would say, hey, I'm not going to teach this class. This doesn't make sense. Don't even talk about it. What are they missing?
That's what they're missing. They feel the need to speak of this. And
so they're missing the idea, but what are they missing?
he said race isn't in the conservative vocabulary. I focus a lot on college because I'm in college. So let's kind of talk about race a little bit. When you consider race, when you're going into colleges, it's in reference to who gets into school, who gets the most scholarship money. The reason that can be a really big problem, or the reason that can be kind of controversial, is because there's a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Plot hole? It's a huge plot hole in that. A huge plot hole. Because the plot hole is that it doesn't really look at how much you make. And what I mean by that, let's say you're trying to go to an Ivy League or a top earning college. If they're looking at race and being like, okay, we want 5% black people. If you are rich, or you or even middle class, and you just have a better living circumstance than someone of other race, you're still going to have a higher chance of getting in that school over them. Because of that plot hole, like, okay, we need to reach this quota. And that's kind of where I think a lot of conservatives, get upset at. It kind of, like, depending on your circumstances, because they realize that people know just because you are a certain race doesn't mean like you live in worse circumstances. People know that. People aren't dumb. They see it. So they're like, hold up. But why did they get this chance and we don't? That's how I think they look at it. And to say that, they would be kind of justified. So
What is so rich about this or good about this? Like, what premise are they missing? Like, what could they get out of a class like this that they're not even going to pay attention to?
to get like basically all the closed-minded aspects out of that. Meaning,
well, what are they though? What are those?
Meaning that people are treated
closed-minded
unequal.
is a judgment, so go ahead.
Meaning people are treated unequally here.
Okay.
A conservative would say that everyone's equal with equal opportunities here in the United States.
Okay, so all right, dudes. Okay, cool. I got that. What else? What else would conservatives be missing by not teaching this class?
So I would say that conservatives, they tend to be like wealthy white people or men, and they don't really get the experience of knowing what it means or what it feels like to be disadvantaged, and not have an experience where once you start at like a figurative starting line,
Okay.
and they know that you're born different and you're born disadvantaged, but saying that because you have equal opportunities, you're able to succeed equally, right?
Okay.
What?
But they're missing the idea of knowing that there are actual limitations to you to be successful, even if you have seemingly the same opportunities.
You feel
So he basically thinks conservatives are a group of, I guess, rich white supremacists who just run the world and just oppress other people. So this kind of proves what I was saying, the dehumanization of people who don't support what you support. Because I say that a lot, and there's a reason I say that. I'm not just making this up for clicks or views. I'm not. Because I'm very objective. I'm not even trying to support a political side or nothing. But for you to sit here and say, because someone is conservative, they don't understand the struggles that someone else goes through, it's completely disingenuous. Because let's talk about it. When people were voting Donald Trump into office, a lot of the people who voted for him are not rich. Millions of Americans voted for him. You just think they're all, rich white men? That doesn't even make sense. I'm not even gonna lie. So even if you're looking at numbers, majority of humans just aren't rich. Of course, if you live in America, you're better off than a lot of other countries, but majority of conservatives are just normal people, the same way the majority of Democrats are just normal people. They just have different political beliefs. But people try to demonize, I guess, conservatives, or they try to demonize Democrats. But at the end of the day, you are literally a normal human with different beliefs. So
the sense that most people who embrace a conservative perspective are wealthier and tend to be white, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but I'm saying mostly, not it's not an absolute, but I'm saying most of the time.
What?
I wouldn't even say most of the time, because that doesn't explain Donald Trump voters. But nonetheless, right? But nonetheless, I get.
Bro, he literally just made that up. He literally just sat here and made that up, and he's defending it as if it's a truth that most conservatives are just rich and white and they just want to tear down other, bruh. And now this is important because most people think like this. He said this with confidence. He's been told this before. And it's a dangerous thought. It's very, very, very dangerous. That's why I make these type of videos. Most people think like this.
Right? That's a perception. But what you're saying, and what you're saying is really very much on point, is that what conservatives are missing is some kind of experience. It seems to me some kind of experience of disadvantage, right? Barriers and things that are happening. Understanding of what those are.
Yeah,
right?
and you could also say that most people who are privileged, the privilege is invisible to them.
Yeah,
so you don't really notice it, that you're privileged in a certain way.
Yep.
So if you're a conservative that goes through life and knowing that you face adversities and you succeed after them, you're then more likely to be because you're black before you're Latino, because you're Asian. If you're going through this, you're able to succeed too, because you can overcome.
I found it.
What? So, Professor, I like this professor, but I don't agree, man. You think an entire group of people in America, because they're conservative, they're missing the foundation of struggle and pain in their life? I post a video, and I promise y'all, I would see some of the worst comments I have ever seen describing how they came up. Because a lot of the people who watch these videos are, I guess, right-leaning conservative, and they would just tell me how they grew up, what they had to experience, and it would literally be some of the worst, hardest challenges I have ever heard ever. I'm like, how could you even? How is it even possible? How are you even here right now? So for you to sit here and act like the average conservative person just can't even fathom a struggle, it's not true. It's not true.
Seen that you zeroed in on a critique. You were able, the class by and large, and it may just be who we chose and who spoke up, but the class by and large was able to zero in on a critique of conservatism, the core ideas of conservatism, much more quickly and much more succinctly than the core ideas of liberalism.
The reason they did this is because they're, and the girl is smiling in the background. The reason this is the case is because people naturally demonize conservatism. And I'm not just making that up. Y'all see it. Like, he literally just said that they don't know what it means to struggle. That it's just a group of rich white men who want to oppress other people. These are their thoughts. And the boy on stage is conservative. And y'all understand how this comes off as disrespectful for someone who is conservative. Because, like, what? I literally struggled my whole life. What are you talking about? But anyways, if you have any suggestions for me, comment down below. I'll see you on the next one.